So, ladies and gentlemen, last week I got the opportunity to go to Treyarch and play a little bit of Black Ops 7 early, and more importantly, check out what they're working on the game, and to really get a glimpse of the overall package that this game is going to be, from the campaign to the multiplayer and, of course, zombies. First of all, I just want to say thank you to anybody who has ever watched my channel and videos over the years. Like, you guys watching this are the ones that have made something like this possible for me. I realize how extraordinarily lucky I am to be given opportunities like this, and it's not even an exaggeration. You guys have literally changed my life, and I'm so lucky to be able to do stuff like this. So I want to share as much with you as I possibly can and make it valuable for you guys, but I just want to say thank you for continuing to support my channel and give me these amazing once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. So anyways, first thing I want to do is talk about the campaign, because there is quite a bit to discuss here and unpack and navigate through, because this is, I think, going to be one of Treyarch's most innovative campaigns. And this is something that, you know, obviously I've been crying for years, that I want the campaigns to kind of push in a new direction. This one is absolutely going to do that. First and foremost, this is the first co-op campaign since Black Ops 3 in 2015. We don't really have co-op campaigns besides World at War, BO3, and now Black Ops 7. So that's already getting off on a different foot than many of the ones that we've experienced since like Modern Warfare 2019, and then on with what you might call the modern era of Call of Duty. So that's interesting enough. It will be up to a 4-player campaign, but you still do have the ability to experience and play it solo and to absorb the story that way. So that classic experience is still intact, but it seems that it's probably designed for and perhaps more enjoyable with a bunch of your friends. Let's talk about the setting and story of the campaign. This takes place after the events of Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 6, and what it seems is that this story is going to be converging those two games. Now, of course, we're playing as David Mason from the Black Ops 2 campaign, and we're joined by Harper once again, and Samuels also from that campaign. And there's a new character, I believe her name is Layla, and she has like essentially cybernetic augments attached to her. So her, Mason, Samuels, and Harper are going to be our squad of 4 that we're, I assume, primarily playing as in the campaign. But there's new characters to contend with, like Emma Kagan, and also the CEO of the guild, which the guild's company seems to be the whole thing that this campaign is resting on as far as like the plot device. Apparently, this campaign takes place in a world run by fear, and it wouldn't be complete without the return of Raul Menendez. Now, I don't know really what context he's back in. We'll have to play that to wait and see, but Raul Menendez does make a return in this campaign, and of course, the entire point of this one is to connect the campaign of Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 2, so it does seem it's going to push in new directions with the guild and the new characters that we do have, but it also is obviously going to connect to previous Black Ops lore and those titles with Raul Menendez, and I'm sure he's here for some reason, which I'm sure we'll figure out very soon. Now, I mentioned this campaign was interesting because it does play like a traditional, you know, single-player story minus the feature of co-op, but you can play this just the normal linear missions and experience the story as is. It's going to take you across the entire world, such as places in Japan, the Mediterranean coast, and even into Mason's psyche, apparently. There is full cross-progression this time with campaign, so all of the XP you make in campaign will apply to your player profile that will appear on both multiplayer and zombies respectively. But I haven't got to the best part, because you might ask, why is there cross-progression in a single-player campaign, or at least even a co-op campaign? And they tried to do something similar in Black Ops 3, I would say, but this is pretty different. So what the big kicker here is with the campaign this time around is that after completing the linear portions of the campaign, you will be given access to this new game mode, this feature called Endgame, which is essentially a big zone, which I assume is something related to Avalon, but it's laid out very similar to MWZ in terms of the difficulty of zones. You'll have like lower threat zones, you'll have these, what I'm calling medium threat, and then like very difficult high threat zones that will have more increased rewards the more difficult the missions are. You'll spend the whole time in the campaign progressing your character, you know, adding to your loadout, getting new abilities and such, but when you get to endgame, that's when you can really start taking it to the next level and crafting a character that is uniquely your own and taking on some of this really challenging content. It seems like they took inspiration heavily from Modern Warfare Zombies and are introducing it into the campaign. So the linear campaign is going to exist as its own, and you can just play that as a story apparently and just, you know, let that be in a vacuum. Or once you beat it though, you can continue to keep playing endgame game, which is probably the most replayable section of said campaign. And it does seem like there are tie-ins with the like linear structure of it and then the stuff that you're going to find in endgame, but it seems like that's where they're taking the replayability of this to the next level. And of course, all of the, cross progression will apply from all three modes. This is the way that they're pushing the boundary with campaign and doing something that we never really thought was possible, so it'll be curious to see how endgame plays out. Let's leave that for now and then talk about multiplayer. So this is curious because multiplayer is coming with a lot of content to start off with. I remember in Cold War, we had like 6v6 maps when the game released. Now Black Ops 7 is going to come out, and on disc, there are going to be 16 6v6 maps. So this time, there's going to be 13 brand new maps and then 3 returning classics coming from BO2, those being Raid, Express, and Hijacked. The weapons that the game is going to launch with are 30 different weapons, and there are like 28, normal bullet guns and then 2 melee weapons, and out of the 30, 16 have never been seen before in the franchise, so there will be a good blend of like returning fan favorites from maybe older games, or like at least inspired probably, and also some totally brand new weapons as well. Been some innovation with the loadouts too, because like this is a first for the Black Ops franchise. Every single score streak, field upgrade, and lethal and tactical equipment are able to be upgraded with this new feature called Overclock, and it's essentially a way to basically personalize how you want these things to function by adding like minor different effects to each and every single thing. This greatly increases the ability of progression in these things. Like you're no longer just unlocking your, normal attachments and perks and stuff like that. Speaking of which, we should probably talk about weapons. Now, they're going back to a somewhat innovated but classic system for weapons. Now, every single weapon has their own individual level again, and every time you prestige a weapon, you'll be given an attachment plus an ability to like add a clan tag or something like that on it. And you'll be given attachments once again when you prestige the weapon, and then you go and unlock them once more. Bear in mind that even though a weapon has 50 levels, all of the cross progression between campaign, multiplayer, and zombies, using that weapon will upgrade it across all of those modes, so you'll be getting XP pretty much no matter what you're doing. I believe this game is also going to have the most amount of mastery camos. It's actually like a ton. It's like 16 or something ridiculous. There are a ton of camos to grind for when it comes to weapon mastery, so a lot of them obviously are going to want you to level the weapons all the way up, but you're also very much encouraged to do so because you'll get a unique, very powerful attachment by prestiging your weapon for the first time, so it seems like that's always a good idea. Now, let's talk a little bit about movement. So first of all, Omni movement from Black Ops 6 does return in this game, although it's slightly different because tac sprint is no longer a built-in feature. You have a normal sprint that's going to work with your Omni movement, and you have a little bit of something that's just basically best described as a wall jump. It's not a full-on wall run like in Black Ops 3 or anything. This is just simply a hop that you can use contextually to jump off of walls in the environment and make like interesting and dynamic plays, and something to build into your movement toolkit. There's also a new mode called Skirmish, which is a 20v20 mode that features like different objectives that aren't just like capture or kill a certain target. They can be almost anything, and you have the ability, to like wingsuit into the battlefield or to use vehicles to reposition. It's essentially the MP experience on a much larger scale, but obviously all of the rules still apply with, how you go about building your classes and characters and using abilities and such. So it's just the core gameplay, but just in a much different context. But now let's get into the thing that I'm really here for, that I'm sure a lot of you guys as well, and let's talk about zombies. So what's going on here? Firstly, just to answer this question right off the bat, zombies is round-based this time around. Like, there was a lot of talk about zombies taking a totally different route and not being round-based anymore. That's not true. Round-based zombies is in Black Ops 7, and specifically this first map that we're going to be playing on disc. I'm not even really sure what this is called. It genuinely, I don't think it had a name, so we're just going to call it the transit map for now, but this is essentially kind of what I described. It is an open map that you travel between different POIs with some dangerous spots in between each connecting point. This map is massive, and not only in terms of scale, but Treyarch have talked about this being the biggest map in terms of not only square footage, but also just in terms of features and the things to discover with it, it seems like a pretty loaded zombies map, but obviously the scale of this map is something that we're still going to have to contend with, and the way that the player is going to do that is you're given this thing called a wonder vehicle, right? Like you're basically given a player-controlled vehicle that you can drive around and explore this giant map with. Now, additionally, whatever this giant transit map ends up being called is supplemental to what we're also getting, which are survival maps for the first time since Black Ops 2. These survival maps appear to be like small cuts of the POIs that are in this giant transit-like map, but this massive map is not something they've really done before, so it should be interesting. But let's talk about the crew that we're going to be playing as in this game, because this is also something that is very fascinating. So we have a strange mesh of crew, right? We have the Cold War characters, or what you might call the Dark Ether characters, consisting of Gray, Carver, Weaver, and Maya, who we played with in Black Ops 6, but obviously at the end of that game, we got introduced back to Tank, Nikolai, Richthofen, and Takio. So I'm not really sure what we're calling this crew as of yet. Like, a lot of people want to call this Premise. I'm not sure if they're actually called Premise. I mean, in the Tombs outro in Black Ops 6, it talks about the Shards of Tempest, so I could see this crew being called Tempest, and I feel like it's a good thing to call them, because this crew is verifiably not Premise. This is a new iteration of them, so I feel like having a brand new name would fit the theme, because it's certainly not Ultimus or Premise for that matter. But we have essentially 8 different players that you could be, different characters, and you can alternate and mix between the Dark Ether crew and this Tempest crew. You can mesh them together, and the Dark Ether crew and Tempest are going to have their own little interactions and stuff, so that'll be cool. The vibes I get is that Zombies this year is like where they finally took the gloves off in terms of what the map settings are going to be. This is like we're in the Dark Ether now. This is the dimension that we're in, so I think they're going to go all out in terms of like where maps are going to be taking place, because even as much as I liked Black Ops 6 Zombies generally, the maps in terms of where they took place, or even some of the aesthetics of them, were still just kind of like military bases, right? Terminus was one, the Reckoning was one. The only ones that really weren't what you might call kind of a military base, I think, were the Tomb and possibly Liberty Falls, or maybe a bit of Shattered Vale, but they had those like military-like elements associated with them. But this is where it seems like they're just going to be doing whatever they want as far as concept. The gloves seem like they're off, and it says that we're going to be facing a new kind of nightmare in the Dark Ether, but in this realm, nothing is ever what it seems, and that's basically the setup. And just real quick, for those of you wondering, the full game of Black Ops 7 launches across all platforms on November 14th, 2025, and there is also a beta that's going to be running from October 2nd to the 8th with early access, I think, if you pre-order or you have Game Pass. So anyways, just wanted to give you the important stuff about the game that you need to know. Make sure to subscribe for more Black Ops 7 content, because I will have tons of coverage coming your way this following year. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon. Peace out.